Hello? Who is? Who calling me right now? What the hell? Oxygen? Hello? Weird. Nobody. Oh my god, that was the weirdest thing ever. Someone called Oxygen called me and didn't say anything. I've been getting a lot of weird calls lately, like really random calls. Do not touch. Spirit says, "Do not touch." I shouldn't have answered that. They called me right when I was doing this live. Let me just ding you out of here, whatever that was. Hello, collective. It's me, your favorite psychic medium, host of Spirit News on Spotify, where we teach you about your non-physical energy and how you're a non-physical being, an extension of Source, having a human experience. I am a childhood psychic that is developing her psychic skills, her mediumship, through the help of my very own spirit team, the Guild of the Golden Triangle, who are here with us always, who are always with me. I'm building a relationship with them. We teach you how to do that on Spotify. We teach you how to do that on Spotify, our podcast called Spirit News, where we bring you higher perspectives of linear views, Spirit News. And we're going to do another collective read, which is what we do on YouTube. We do psychic development by learning how to read energy, and then we collect the data and we put it all out for you to digest and to understand and to gain wisdom and knowledge just like us on our TikTok. If you want to follow any of our socials, we would love that. We would love for you to be a part of our community. You can go to the description bar and go through the link tree. We have all our links there to all of our things. Positive, Spirit says. Spirit would love for us to all be a community together where all are accepted and none are rejected here. And you guys helped me do psychic development. I repressed my psychic gift until 4 years ago, where I decided to admit that I am psychic and stop suppressing it, basically. And in doing so, I have found so much joy and happiness, and I'm so grateful for all my blessings, and I'm grateful to be here to be of service to the collective, to help us bring higher perspectives of linear views to you guys, so we can understand emotions, energy and motion, so we can understand how things work, so we can understand ourselves more. We document all of our data on Spirit News. If you want a more metaphysical explanation of things, those are channeled messages from my very own spirit team. Everyone has a spirit team. You probably have 12 cats. Actually, I have no cats. My last album sucked. Well, I ain't no superstar over here. You know, I do 333. I do music, but not because I'm trying to be famous, because I think it's fun. So we put it out there not to be like the best rap stars in the world, but to show vulnerability, that it's okay to create and not like be famous, not be successful, not make money at it. But if you have fun doing something, you should definitely follow what feels good emotionally, especially if it's creative and fun and it makes you feel good. You should do that. So, hi, Robbins. Hello. I love you so much. Where were you before you were born? Well, the last life I remember, I actually did this. I did a past life regression meditation with James Van Prague, who is my mediumship teacher. I took his mediumship course, and he, on his show Spirit Talk on Gaia, he had a meditation to do a past life regression. And I saw 3 past lives that were shown to me. One where I was like this outlaw cowboy man, and my lesson was compassion. And then I had one where I was an Egyptian boy, an Egyptian royal boy, and some kind of Egyptian. It was off planet. It was definitely not around here because the sand was different, like rainbow colored, almost like sea glass. and I could see like two moons. And then I had one of myself as a little boy, in some kind of like Montana setting, like out in the like open Montana flatlands or something. Keep sharing the amazing content on YouTube. You get success on YouTube. Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I love you guys. So, I don't know why I felt compelled to tell you about my past life regression. You know, sometimes it's really helpful. We have done also alternate timeline tales where I will get random people who I get their guides show me their time, like an alternate timeline of theirs that like alters their life now, and that's definitely something that can happen. Thank you for your explanation. I love how you explain how the planet works in the spiritual realm. Jeremy. Thank you. Anger problems? Stephanie. Well, when I was that cowboy outlaw, I had anger problems. They are coming. And my lesson was compassion. I was very like ruthless. I was very in that life. I was very ruthless. I was very cutthroat. I was like basically like an outlaw. And I fell in love with this girl in a town that I robbed her father, who was a preacher man, and I was planning on robbing him because they had like some kind of booty in this church or whatever. And I found out about it by romancing this woman who ended up being the preacher's daughter, but I fell in love with her, and you know, I had this outlaw renegade like posse I ran with, and I had to choose between the posse or the girl, but they ended up unaliving the town and including her and then myself. So it was a lesson. It was a big lesson in that lifetime for sure. I don't know. I don't know why I felt compelled to tell you that. But definitely, maybe Spirit wants you to know that your past lives can definitely, or alternate time. A past life is a life that isn't I guess everything's happening at the same time. I guess they're the same thing. Because there's really no such thing as time, so everything's happening now. So even your past lives are happening now. They just could be in a different timeline, but it could still be happening. It's still happening now. So those lives connect to this life, and they all connect to each other in like this woven tapestry, this beautiful grid of lives that you're living at the same time on different timelines that affect you now. So there's many, it's a good, sometimes it's not sometimes, all the time, if you are experiencing blockages, if you're experiencing certain things, that patterns, behavior patterns, thought forms that you can't get past, sometimes they can definitely be related to alternate timelines where 222, where you have a lesson to learn. You know, we did a really amazing story of a young man on TikTok, and I even got a picture of him and an image of what he looked like as a different being from a different dimension. And he was like from this ice culture where they talked with what they could talk to water through like this thing they did with their mouth. It was like, you know, it sounded like that. And they could talk to water, and they could use the water to do everything they did, to make houses, to heal, everything. They talked to water. And the shaman of that village had a huge lesson to learn that affected his life in this life. And it was trusting people and trusting himself, because he trusted someone who betrayed him very badly, who he gave the shamanic knowledge to that he wasn't supposed to give to. It's a good story, and it affected him in this life because he found it hard to trust himself and to trust people, and it made him a habitual liar because he was constantly needing the control of having the lie come from him, like the information come from him, or you know, so it actually made him lie more than you should. And Spirit brought him to me, and I gave him a random reading, and I got that randomly. So I don't know, someone here could possibly be blocked by an alternate life, or maybe that's who we're going to be talking about. I'm not sure. But Spirit felt the need to bring it up. So I did. Okay. Oh, thank you, Robin. Thank you. Okay. So we do energy readings. I got into a whole tangent there. I don't know what happened. I just go with the flow. You know what I'm saying? I feel heavy energy right now. I think I'm going to say a prayer. Spirit, please give me a prayer to start us off. To psalm us off. Let's psalm ourselves. Oh, prayer of an afflicted sinner. Psalm 38. Rights. Spirit said rights. R-I-T-E-S. You know what? Let me look up what a right is. Can I do that real quick? Let me look up what a right is real quick. Definition of a right. Yeah, that's not spelled right. R-I-T-E. A religious or other solemn ceremony or act. A social custom, practice, or conventional act. A rite, like a rite of passage or the rite of communion, the family Christmas rite. So someone here has some kind of social practice or some kind of religious practice or a ceremonial or formal act, observance, or procedure in accordance with prescribed rule as custom in a religious use. The hell?
No place.
Oh, shoot. All right, and I just opened up to Psalm 38, which is prayer of an afflicted sinner. Someone may be doing religious rites.
I'm upset.
Oh, Spirit said I'm upset. Oh, no. Spirit's upset at this person. They've been doing religious rites, creating sins. Lord, do not punish me in your anger. In your wrath, do not chastise me. Your arrows have sunk deep in me. Your hand has come down upon me. There is no wholesomeness in my flesh because of your anger. There's no health in my bones because of my sin. My iniquities overwhelm me, a burden too heavy for me. Foul and festering are my sores because of my own folly. I am stooped and deeply bowed. Every day I go about mourning. My loins burn with fever. There is no wholesomeness in my flesh. I am numb and utterly crushed. I wail with anguish of heart. My Lord, my deepest yearning is before you. Oh, Maron. My groaning is not hidden from you. My heart shudders. My strength forsakes me. The very light of my eyes has failed. Friends and companions shun my disease. My neighbors stand far off. And those who seek my life lay snares for me. They seek my misfortune. They speak of ruin. They plot treachery every day. Damn, what does this person do? I am very near to falling. My wounds are with me always. I acknowledge my guilt, and I grieve over my sin. Spirit said right, like a religious right, like some kind of spiritual right. This person may have done something that they didn't realize was going to be a sin. My enemies live and grow strong. Those who hate me grow numerous fraudulently, repaying me evil for good, accusing me for pursuing good. Do not forsake me. Buried. Come quickly to help me, my Lord and my salvation. So someone who has sinned, who may have performed some kind of sinful religious rite, is asking God for help now because everyone's leaving them, everyone is shunning them. This person acknowledges their own guilt. Damn. I guess that's a good thing. I mean, we want to acknowledge our guilt when we do something, when we folly. That's the whole, if you're not able to bring awareness to when you mess up and to admit fault and when you were wrong or when you hurt somebody, then how can you heal it, right? So the whole, you can't take a step forward to the right direction if you're not willing to admit that you did any wrong at all. So at least this person, I am stooped and deeply bowed because of my folly, because of my sin. There's no health in my bones because of my sin. And sin doesn't have to be like some unholy act. A sin is anything that is against your highest good or somebody else's highest good. It's a sin is when you purposefully set out in a low energy and you take action in that energy, because every time you act in a low frequency and you feed that energy, that's a sin. So it doesn't have to be some, you know, exorcist or something, something from the exorcist. It could just be like you lied to your best friend about sleeping with their husband, or you told the neighbor that you make more money than you do, and you gossip about your wife. Things like that. It doesn't have to be some, they're all in equally low frequency. So they're all equally low frequency. So it doesn't matter what it is. It's all done in the same low level frequency, so it's considered a sin. Okay. Fart into the camera. I mean, I'm good. I don't need to. Okay. Thank you, Spirit, for being with us. Please, how can we help? How can we be of service? How can we get a higher perspective of this linear view? How can we understand the emotions of these people? I'm so grateful to be here, to be of service. It is my honor. I am humbled to be your humble servant. How can we help? Let me see. Let's see who's involved here. Let's do karma cards. Should we do? Yeah, let's do karma cards. Spirit, please continue giving us clues for what you want us to know, how to get a higher perspective of this view so we can understand our emotions and so we can get closer to alignment. Thank you so much for co-creating with me in this very special way. I'm very honored. I love you so much. I'm so grateful for my blessings. I'm happy right where I'm at. I have everything I need. And everything works out for me. Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you, Robin. I love you so much. Hello, Odin. Yes, I do personal reads. If you want a personal read, you can email me at what Robin said, patienceWithSpirit@gmail. That's $20 for 20 minutes. I'd be happy to be of service for you. Venus, the attraction of pleasure. So somebody here was charmed by some kind of pleasure, something they were enjoying, something that they were very attracted to. It was very attractive. It drew them in. It seduced them. It tantalized their senses. It charmed them. Something that was maybe beautiful. It could be a person. A person drew them in for good times and pleasure. They were attracted to it. Something that they were charmed by. That was Venus. This is the 12th house. Something that was hidden. Something that was hidden that's overwhelming now. Something that's overwhelming them.
Possessed.
Possessed? Spirit just said possessed. Maybe they need a religious rite. They have some kind of involvement in some kind of something that's overwhelming. They were seeking, when they were doing whatever they were doing, I don't know what their sin is yet, but we'll be finding out later. They felt like it was fun. They were attracted to it. It drew them in. They were getting pleasure out of it. It was something hidden, something that They kept their involvement with hidden. There's some kind of something they did behind the scenes, something that they thought was making them feel some kind of oneness, maybe with a group or with one other person. I'm not sure yet. But they didn't want anyone to know they were doing it. That's the thing about North Node. That's the thing about things that sin, if you're doing something that you wouldn't want anyone to know you're doing, I mean, most of the time, it depends. I guess it depends on what it is. But this person, it was definitely a sin. It wasn't. It was something that wasn't for their highest good. It was something that possibly blocked them or blocked someone else or something like that. Speaking of block, they may have found joy or pleasure in blocking someone's benefit or someone's time to do some kind of success. They may have been blocking their own North Node, their own physics. Spirit said physics. Physics? This person may have been very logical in their thinking. They may have been not thinking about the long-term implications of what they were doing. They were being very logical and not accessing their emotional body. They were probably repressing their emotions about this act they were doing that gave them pleasure, that they enjoyed, something that was hidden. They were benefiting from this for a short amount of time. They weren't worried about the implications or the consequences of whatever this is they were doing. They were not worried about that. Which is sad. I mean, lots of people don't think about how their actions are going to affect them in the long term of things. They're just so focused on getting something now, Hello, AK! So this person is some kind of genius or thinks they're some kind of genius. There's something that resulted in some kind of outcome that's very different or very unexpected, very unconventional. They had some kind of plan or vision, or they were many years ago, Spirit said. I also have I have Aquarius here. Alice. Spirit wants me to do Alice cards next. They're very eccentric. They could be some kind of genius or someone who's very logical. Spirit said physics. So this could be somebody who, I'm just going to say it for the data. I don't know if it's true. I'm just going to say what I'm getting. This could be some kind of like physics major or someone who works in the world of science. They're very logical. They're not super spiritual at all. They are eccentric. They do like experiments, or they're some kind of genius when it comes to their field. They may have tapped into something that was very unconventional, something very different. They could have had some kind of energetic, I want to say they like tapped into the field of like otherworldly energy, and they could have possibly thought that this was something like to experiment with on some kind of level, to play with. Like they thought they found something new and exciting, so they were like, I have heard of a star seed. Well, welcome. All are welcome here. And so this person was doing this thing they were doing, this sin. Spirit said it was a sin in the Bible. And now they're aware of what they were doing, because they didn't know. This is a very logical person. They don't know anything about spirituality. They weren't somebody that dealt with consequences. Personality. They're just somebody who a group of them. I told you this was some kind of group. I said that in the beginning. This could be 2 or more people. And so this could be some kind of like science group or like lab coats, I see lab coats. They're young though, they're like students. They could have tapped into something that they thought they were experimenting with, that they were messing around with, that they thought was scientific, like having to do with physics. But Spirit said they sinned. They did some kind of rite, RITE, some kind of rite. That's why you should know about energy, and why you should at least take into consideration that there is something sparking and animating us that is electrical, that is energetic, and we're not just
At the
a bag of
house.
bones, okay? Because these people are very logical, so they didn't think that what they were tapping into had any spiritual implications, and it 100% did. Okay. Oh, thank you. Oh, you had a near-death experience? That's interesting. Hello. Gematria? Shouldn't you be doing Kabbalah, not tarot? Pretty sure Gematria would mesh with your vibes better. I'm open to whatever spirit brings to me. So, this life or death. Oh my gosh. AK, this card says life or death in the 8th house. You know what this reminds me of? I just
Disarm.
disarmed. I just got a vision of remember that movie
Five spirits.
Flatliners, and they were all scientists that were messing with near death experiences, and they thought it was like scientific what they were doing, but they were flatlining themselves, and they were going into the other realms. Um, this is kind of like what they were doing. They weren't flatlining themselves, but say something about you. This isn't a personal read, this is a collective read. If you want a personal read, you can go to my email. It's patienceWithSpirit@gmail. So these people were getting and using power through this resource that they discovered doing an experiment, a scientific experiment, you guys. Something with physics. This is like the movie Flatliners, except they weren't flatlining, but they were messing with energy. You know what this reminds me of? The Hadron Collider. The particle accelerator. This could be about those scientists from doing the particle accelerator.
Curved.
Curves.
You are not welcome.
So, personal power, the mysteries of life, a major change. So these people were messing around with some kind of scientific experiments. They could be physics majors. They're some kind of students. They're all in their north node by way of their chosen profession, but they've all been taken off course by this experiments they've been doing with energy, these life or death experiments. They're doing something with, they're doing something that they're getting pleasure from, that they're getting power, using power from, something that causes major changes.
Hex.
A hex. Oh my god, Spirit just said hex.
Suffocate.
Oh jeez. These people weren't healed, okay? When you're messing with energy like this and you tap into something like energy in this way, you can definitely, if you're not at a level of clarity in your field, you can definitely get power hungry. You can get addicted to harnessing that type of energy, knowing that it's available, knowing that it's possible. That's what happened in Flatliners. They got so addicted to going to the other side because they were starting to gain clarity about certain things about themselves and about their life, and so what they were addicted to they were addicted to the connection that they were receiving. These very scientific, logical people that operate more in their masculine energy were doing some kind of experiment with energy that had them feeling like they were untapping mysteries of life or something. That were giving them some kind of resource of power, making them feel powerful. Something they knew is like almost like near death experiences. You know, it also reminds me of the OA, where that doctor was he was unaliving those group of people, was keeping in the basement because they could have near death experiences and come back and give him the data of it because they all had like special abilities or whatever. It kind of reminds me of that. Not exactly, but I think Spirit wants us to know about. Holy Spirit wants us to know about the implications of not respecting energy and not respecting Holy Spirit and thinking that you're God. Basically, you can't go in. Science and metaphysical energy are both intertwined. Scientists who get these ideas about string theory and physics and energy is relative, they all get inspired by inspiration. They get inspired by Holy Spirit.
Disagree.
Spirit said disagree. Or maybe they come in on purpose to be able to bring the kind of knowledge forward to progress our society. But when you're doing social, oh yeah,
Probably.
and the book said social experiment. What said social experiment? Oh my god, I was reading something earlier. Spirit said probably. When you're doing that and you're not aware of the other components and you're just all logic, you don't understand the implications of messing around with energy, because just because you tap into energy doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean it's good. Just because you tap into some entity or power, it doesn't mean that it's of a high vibration. When you mess around with energy, you're going to attract exactly where you're at energetically. Okay? So this group of people didn't understand that because they're all logic. They're all logic. These people are messing with things they don't understand because it's giving them pleasure of power. They're getting drunk off of power, playing with things they don't understand. Yeah, short-term thinking. I told you, short-term thinking. The third house, short-term thinking. So someone here is realizing there's a connection. These are smart people. These are real smart people. They're like in physics or something. They're messing with like the particle collider or something. They're messing with something that they think that they tapped into, that's some kind of experiment they're doing that they discovered. They think they discovered this. But they're not, all of them are thinking very short term. They're thinking about how they're going to get famous for this and how they need to perfect this experiment so they can show how they tap into this other world. And Spirit said right earlier, RITE, they could have tapped into some kind of low negative energy that could possibly have told them a resource or given them some kind of resource that made them feel connected, but they didn't ask enough questions. They didn't ask enough questions to get going or to understand what they were dealing with because they had very short-term thinking. They didn't take into consideration the consequences of what they were doing. This isn't a personal read, Aquib. Okay? If you want a personal reading, you can email me. I'm not doing personal readings right now. This is a collective read. Leo. I have Aquarius and Leo. So they were doing these experiments. They were tapping into whatever they thought being they thought they were the pioneers of whatever it was they were doing. They were like flatliners over here. They were like the movie Flatliners. They thought it would be really impressive, that they'd look like leaders, that they're very self-confident in this thing they were doing, because like an experiment, you do it over and over again and you get the same results. So whatever they were tapping into, they were getting short term, in the short term, the same results over and over again for a while, because that's what an experiment is. An experiment is something you can do over and over again and get the same results, right? That's what the point of doing an experiment. The Spirit said blood. Oh my god. So just like in the movie Flatliners, making they kept going under longer and longer. I'm not saying that they're doing that, but every time they do an experiment, whatever they're tapping into has them to do something more and more. It has them do something more and more extreme. So Spirit said rite, R-I-T-E. We looked it up. That there's a religious rite going on, and Spirit said blood. Okay, so and hex. So whatever they're tapping into on a logical mind, from a physics point of view, they think that this is something that is going to be life changing, that's going to get them like some kind of reward or something that's going to make them look like leaders. Like people are going to be very impressed by these experiments that they're conducting with energy physics majors, or the hadron collider, or the particle collider, something like that. But now they're not just doing it for the sake of progressing science. They're doing it for selfish means. They're not healed. They're tapping into something they don't understand. They're viewing it strictly from a very masculine, logical, scientific view. Just like in Atlantis. There's a whole reason Atlantis went under, because there was a faction of people that were separated from the Lemurians, who were more spiritual, that gained their powers from tapping into their spiritual gifts, from going within and healing their wounds. They became very psychic and telepathic. Well, the other faction didn't want to do the hard work. They wanted an easy shortcut. And so they were messing with crystal power, and to try to get spiritual enlightenment artificially instead of doing it the right way. And so these people inadvertently were repeating cycles from the past. Maybe that's why we brought up past lives. These people could possibly be in past life energy repeating things they've done in Atlantis, where they were artificially trying to recreate spiritual connection. And the best way to connect with Holy Spirit is by clearing your field and healing your wounds, and giving yourself unconditional love, not by seeking anything outside of yourself. These people are doing some weird experiments, striving and wanting, absolutely striving and wanting connection, because that's the whole reason the flatliners were they were flatlining themselves, because they felt connected to something more than them. And they were all science majors. They were all in school for some kind of science. They were doing experiments. When you're all logic and you don't make room for emotional maturity or intelligence, you don't make room for spiritual awakenings. You're very you can't tap into energy and think that it's new. There's nothing new. Nothing that has been done is new. And so these people thought they were doing something new and exciting, and they kept repeating an experiment because they were getting some kind of resource or power from it. and they thought that that was scientific, but really it was spiritual. And now they're in a mess. They've done some kind of sin, because every time the first house, every time they would do an experiment or tap in, the energy they were tapping into would have them do something more and more extreme. Okay? So let me clap them cheeks respectfully, of course. Oh, that's funny. So, oh shit. So Spirit said a group of us, and four. There could possibly be a group of four or more people in this scientific sector of students, physics students, that are messing with pretty much energy weapons. They're pretty much messing with things they don't understand. They're coming from a very logical place. They're doing these experiments. One of them, oh, that's what the Bible was saying. One of them has realized, has gone on their own to do this experiment. One of them has decided to take action. They desired to take action to do this experiment by themselves. Oh no. It says do it on your own.
Late.
Oh no. Oh no, that's horrible. So, yeah, now they're drowning like a lake, because when you do something like this with energy, you should not do it unless you're a practiced shaman, unless you're very spiritually, unless you have a lot of spiritual authority where you can, like a psychic or an oracle or a prophet, you should not be tapping into energy by yourself at all. I mean, not even with a group of people, because these people don't know anything about energy, but they desired to be looked at as a leader. So they wanted to do this experiment on their own to gain some kind of leadership, to gain some kind of power, to take action. They wanted to show people that they could do it on their own. And so they did this in a very short-term thinking way. They weren't thinking of the long-term consequences, because these people don't believe in God. These people don't believe in God. They're very logical. They're very scientific. They think that, there is no God, there's only science. And when you think like that, and you mess with something that you think is brand new, that you discovered, and this is ancient. Energy is infinite, okay? And so this person branched off on their own, and they did something very quickly without thinking, very impulsively. They did this experiment that they've been doing on their own. And just like the Bible said, Psalm 38, the prayer was about someone who's realized that what they've done is a sin. They're realizing that what they've done has given them great guilt. So every time they did this experiment, they're trying to gain a footing in the scientific community with these experiments that they're doing. But every time they do these experiments, because they don't understand energy or spirituality, they do something more and more extreme. And Spirit has said blood, hex, and rite. Okay? What's going on, Spirit? What is happening? What is going on with these people? What do you want us to know? How can we be of service? How can we help? Expansiveness reversed. I told you, they thought they were being expansive. They thought they were progressing science, but really they were limiting themselves. They were creating karmic debt for themselves. They were creating more karmic cycles. They thought they were being expansive in their scientific research, but it was so much more than that. And now, so I don't know what's happening. I call back my power. I told you, And I have the 8th house, getting and using power, other people's resources, the mysteries of life, personal power. These people need to call their power back. They've given their power away to some kind of energy that they've been doing experiments with in a very logical, scientific way. So, what's happening? Teacher, I told you. Oh my god, I freaking told you. Teacher. This is some kind of like school or something. This is some kind of like students of physics. I'm telling you, a teacher has led them. A teacher has branched off and done this by themselves to be some kind of leader. And they need to call their power back now because they thought that they were the like pioneers of something, or they wanted to be viewed as doing something unconventional. They had a vision that they were going to be different, that they were going to be a leader, that they were going to impress people with this new experimentation of energy they were doing. But really, it's going backwards because they're messing with lower energy that's tricked them into doing something more and more progressive, more and more detrimental to their own energy field. Root chakra. They're in their root chakra. They're in their root chakra. That means that they're not doing. This may have started as wanting to progress science, but now it's become, I want power. I want acclamation. Accolades. I want attention. This has become something unhealthy now. That's why energy is. That's why they've attracted too many. They've attracted many. Spirit said too many. This teacher with these students has gotten them in a lot of trouble energetically. They've attracted too many low vibrational entities that are taking advantage of them in this experiments they've been doing. Beast. Spirit said beast. They need to call their power back. It's, if you've done, this is some kind of weird inadvertent divination. That's what this is. It's not divination directly, like they weren't doing it to contact any kind of otherworldly spiritual entities, but by tapping into another energy through whatever they were doing. It's just like Flatliners. The movie Flatliners, they tap in, they unalive themselves and see how long they can go being flatlined, and in that flatline they go to another dimension. It's like that. There's no God. Where are all the gods when you believe in yourselves? I believe because I learned something everyone else believes that someone else told them. Whose do you want to be, the button or the finger pushing buttons? So, these people wanted to be the people pushing buttons, but they didn't realize that their own buttons needed to be cleaned first. Their own buttons needed to be unstuck. They're all like, have gunk inside of them because they're so old and crusted over and not looked at and not tended to, not cared for. They tapped into something they thought was very scientific, and they were receiving some kind of power from it, some kind of resource. Yeah, for real. Well, this teacher has led their students to some kind of weird experiment with energy.
Wrong.
Spirit just said wrong. I was called here on a mission. Oh, I see what you're saying. So this teacher of these students, that they gathered these group of physics students or science students of some kind, claimed that it's their mission to harness this kind of power or energy or something. That's how they got them to do it, I guess. They prayed. Didn't I say temptation? The Psalms 38 talked about how they were, or this card, what is it?
Distances.
Venus, the pleasure, the attraction of. They were tempted by the call of a mission. This teacher played on their altruism. This teacher was like, if we're scientists. It's our job to
Punish.
go beyond the line of reason and to push ourselves and to do these experiments. So this teacher has gotten their students in a whole heap of trouble energetically. Okay, what else?
Diamond.
Diamond.
Bad spirit.
Yeah, definitely. They were contacted by a bad spirit. They were tricked by a bad spirit. Okay, they didn't know anything. These are scientists. They don't believe in God. Okay, divine abundance. This bad spirit led this teacher to believe if you do these experiments, you're going to gain worldwide. I keep wanting to say acclamation. I don't know why. Well, I am getting a sense that every experiment they did was just a little bit more extreme. So that's how this bad spirit drew them in to do whatever it is they wanted and preyed on their altruism of being a scientist, of philanthropy. They wanted, scientists want to help progress the world, right? That's why they become scientists. These scientists wanted that, and their teacher wanted that too at first, but that's why I keep wanting to say acclamation instead of accolades, because they definitely wanted to help. That's how it started. They wanted to help. But the teacher became drunk off of power because this teacher is gaining energy resource from their students by doing these experiments. But they don't understand that. So they try to do it by themselves to be a leader. They thought they could do it by themselves, but really the power was coming from the multiple people. It's like a battery. When you have multiple people doing energy right
Vanish.
or playing with energy,
Figure.
it becomes like a battery and it's more powerful. That's why I have personal power here. I call back my power, getting and using powers. So they were tricked. They were tricked by divine abundance. They thought that what they were doing was going to bring them abundance. That what they were doing was good, because that's why you just don't mess with energy until, or you ask your guides for help, or you go to an experienced shaman or something. If you don't even believe in God and you're messing with energy, just like flatliners, you can actually leave pieces of your soul in other dimensions by tapping into things you don't understand. Just like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. There's a tablet, I don't forget which one it is, but he talks about how he was going into the astral realms, trying to discover different parts of the astral realms and like mapping it out. And there's some places that you just cannot go. There's some places you cannot go because you'll get stuck there, or there's entities that will try to take your place or take pieces of your soul, things like that. Like, you cannot mess with this stuff on a real logical level. You have to understand your emotions. You have to have discernment. You have to have a belief in God, at least, in Jesus, something to protect you. These people are messing with things they don't understand. They don't even believe in God. So they're not protected. They're not clearing their field. They're not doing anything that's required of them and that's why they were susceptible to this energy. Gratitude in reverse. Gratitude's the fastest way to connect with God because it's the closest frequency to love. Gratitude. Even the word gratitude is a high vibrational word. These people were ungrateful. They viewed these experiments and this tapping into this energy as just something that they were entitled to, something that they discovered. They didn't even think of it as being spiritual or connected. They just thought of it as like super science. This is weird. They didn't see how it could connect them in a good way to divine guidance, they weren't grateful. And then once they kept doing it over and over again, they felt entitled to do it. Like, this is what we discovered and we can do whatever we want with it, and we can, so then they abuse their power with it. This is horrible. That's the problem with science. God created science. Okay? God created everything. Everything you experience, God created for us to have that experience. When you deny anything that God made, you deny God in every sense. God made up and down, dark and light, good and evil, and He made it so we could have free will to choose which one we want. If you're doing science without an awareness of God, you're denying God. And so you're going to attract things that deny God as well. Science and God made science. Things that happen that are miracles are usually scientific and spiritual at the same time. They're both. They're not one or the other. They're both. CERN, yeah, I think it could be CERN. Because look at this. I do. I think it could be the particle collider. Look at this. Doesn't that look like it? I do think it could be.
The number 6.
See this from a higher perspective.
Orb.
Yeah, these orb. Look, Spirit said orb. See this from a higher perspective, and that's an orb. Look, orb. Yeah, from a higher
Tortured.
Okay, thank you, Spirit. From a higher perspective, these scientists were so concerned about leading the way for scientific expansion that they weren't able to trust their intuition. They're all in their north node for being scientists. They're all good at being scientists, but they're not good at understanding spirituality. You can't understand science. If you're going to do science, you should also understand spirituality. Just like Leonardo da Vinci, just like Plato, Socrates, Merlin. These are people who delved into science, but also understood alchemy and how to transmute and energy. These people are going into things they don't understand with a mission to save Earth, but they don't even believe in God. It makes me want to cry. It makes me want to cry. It's just like leaders of the world, you know, before the fall of man, before our dissension, before we took money for prayer and for in the church, before money was even important, to be a pharaoh, you had to be balanced in your emotions. You had to understand spiritual concepts. You had to go through your dark night of the soul and your 40 days and 40 nights, and you had to do the mystery teachings, and you had to go through those rites of passages to be a leader, to be a scientist, to be somebody of authority, because you cannot lead anybody if you do not even believe in something more than yourself. You know, you can't mess with energy. You can't mess with energy because you think you're a scientist and not even believe in God. God created what you're doing. God created, I don't know, it's upsetting. I get upset about it because it just makes sense. I don't know, it makes sense to me. Our president of the world, of the United States, shouldn't be some Joe Schmo who went to college, like, big fucking whoop. Anybody can go to college. Our leader of the world, of our whatever, our president, should be somebody who's gone through the fucking fire and came out like a fucking phoenix with spiritual enlightenment, who's compassionate, who's kind, who's balanced in their emotions, not some asshole who's power hungry who wants to be famous and have money. Like, who wants a leader like that? Who wants a scientist for progression who doesn't even believe in God? I don't. No, thank you. So, all right, Spirit said love. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting upset. Spirit said human. So they're just being human. They're just learning. Induction. They're just learning their lessons. Spirit hates it, but we gotta love them anyway. They're here to learn lessons too. So these scientists are now realizing that they're wrong and they hate it. Okay? They're realizing that there is more to life than just some scientific experiment, that they didn't discover whatever they discovered, that they were tricked, even though they're so logical and so smart, that they were tricked by an energetic being that understood their energy, and they didn't understand that thing's energy. So they got tricked. Come home to your body. That must have been what they were doing. They were doing experiments, coming outside of their body, having transcendental experiences. I'm telling you, one of these people, like, are lost in another realm or something like that. Divine flow. Yeah. They're asking God for help now. Now they believe in God. So this whole experimentation they were doing, they thought they were gonna be God, and now through this experience, they're realizing that there actually is a God, that you just can't go around intrusive. You can't just go around intruding in other dimensions and other places without consequences. There's consequences to that shit. There's no need for you to go into other dimensions and mess around with things you don't understand when you don't even believe in God, because you're going to get exactly what you're asking for, and you're going to regret it completely when a piece of your soul gets left in that other dimension and you come back here and you feel empty and you feel lifeless and you feel uninspired and you feel like you can't do nothing. I don't know why I'm so upset. This could have been helped. They could have just, you know what they could have done is they could have hired a shaman or spiritual advisor or psychic to help them, but instead they don't believe in that stuff. They only believe in science. Who do you think created science? Who the hell do you think made science? God. God made everything. I make way for miracles. God makes miracles. Alright, I get it. Spirit, please give us one last thing to help us understand this from a higher perspective so we can help. How can we help? How can we help? Stop searching for safety nets. Before we propel ourselves into the beauty and grace found in the unknown, our experience teaches us that we do not need to see human footprints on the paths we walk, because the Savior of the world has walked every path before us. And better yet, He is walking with us, depositing courage as we go. But we must walk forward in order to know the courage that lies within us. We must do that thing, pursue that dream, have that conversation, make that confession, forgive that person. We must decide to do it. If we wait to feel courageous, we will often let the voices of uncertainty and doubt speak so loudly that our feet forget we are equipped to be exactly what we are. The lion will roar too loud and we will shrink back, forgetting that we represent the one who shut the mouth of the lions for Daniel and protected David from lions in the pastures. We can operate in courage in our present because our future cannot be harmed by an enemy that has no control over it unless we give it to him. Confinement and comfort were never meant to be the themes of our lives. Oh, yes, and the more we use, the more we have. Unlimited supply, that is his promise. Go on. Do not be afraid. Be brave with your life. Thank you, Spirit. When you find yourself afraid this week, remember that God is walking with you, giving you all the courage you need to fulfill your purpose. Thank you. Thank you, God. So these people didn't believe in God, but they tapped into an energy that has they could have looked for God within it. They were looking for connection. They were looking for a way to excel the human race through scientific measure. And what they failed to see is that they were looking for connection outside of themselves and trying to play God. They were trying to do something that they thought was they thought they were doing something that was different, that was going to change society, but they opened a portal instead. And instead of asking God for guidance or knowing that they'd be safe with God, they didn't believe in God. So they attracted exactly what they were at, and they got taken advantage of, and they opened a portal to bad things doing this experiment. So now God says, I'm always with you. You just have to believe in me, and you have to ask for help, and you have to have the courage to take that action, to admit you were wrong, to admit that I fucked up, that I do believe in God and I was wrong about that. Thank you. Thank you, God. How can these people be better than yesterday? How can they be better than yesterday? Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Listen to an album you loved when you were younger. Reconnect with your past through music. What were you doing in your life when you last listened? So, Spirit is suggesting that for these people who have disconnected with themselves, who have lost pieces of themselves doing these experiments, who have gotten their pieces of their soul stuck in different portals that they've opened, they need to recall their power back. And you say, all pieces of my soul that have been lost, that I gave away, I reclaim you back. Please come back to me. And spirit guides, angels, ancestors, please help me reclaim pieces of my soul, however you want to say it. And then you need to start remembering the way you were, the things you like to do before this happened, before your trauma happened, before you opened these portals to places you don't understand and lost pieces of yourself. You have to remember yourself having a good time in those times. And that's what Spirit suggests for these people. Okay, I hope it helps. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. It's my pleasure to be of service. I hope this gives you a higher perspective of linear views. Love you. Bye.